we worked on it pretty good, you know, and he took it to heart. You know, he was stressing that he wasn't throwing the ball. He's a better passer. I told you that before, and like I said, part of it we had to get him some throws that he could make early, and then he got in a rhythm, and it was lights out after a while. I mean, he was feeling good, but his fundamentals were so much better. Other than 2 throws, okay, there were 2 throws, and both those were pocket movement throws to his left, where I think he didn't get turned very well. And part of that was protection oriented, but he got his screws in the ground pretty good and transferred through most of the throws, and he was pretty much on the money. And touched a few balls nice too. I mean, he dropped a couple balls in. You know, that's the key to passing is it's a finesse art. You know, you got to be able to drop them in. You got to be able to drill it. You got to be able to lay them out. You got to be able to throw it so that guy can catch it and run with it.
Speaking of finesse, the diamond, I don't know what you call it. You know, how did you come up with that, and you know, what more could we expect from that formation?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that. But, you know, it's something that Devin Garner's a talented kid, and we just wanted to give him a chance to kind of feature him a little bit in a couple of deals. And you know, Big Ten play. I told you Big Ten play, we'll empty the drawer more as we go now. I mean, our first 4 games, we're still learning the offense, you know, and that's still a work in progress. That certainly isn't done either, but, you know, we're going to be, you know, we're going to have our deals, you know. Some they're not going to work, you know. Some are going to be good, some of them aren't. But that was just one of them.
Did you find that somewhere that someone used before, or was that literally all you?
Well, it goes way back. You know, there was a series the Chargers ran back in, I think it was the 80s or early 90s with Buford Jordan, where he was a quarterback in college, and we took a piece of that and then kind of expanded a little bit to fit. I think Dan Fouts was playing back then, so it's part of that's kind of old. You know, Ernie Zampese had done that, but the other pieces that we put, we just kind of built some stuff off it that they didn't do back then. But the option part of it was a piece from the past.
Brady said you guys started talking about that in March, April?
Oh, yeah. It really after, we talked about it a little bit, and then after spring football, when, you know, it became apparent Devin was a skilled kid, we were just, you know, trying to figure out a way how we could use him, you know. It's hard, you know, it's hard without literally giving quarterbacks series. I know they did that here in the past. I'm just not a fan of breaking the starting quarterback's rhythm by taking him out a series or 2 for another guy. I don't like that. And so you either do that, or you find ways to use your other quarterback within the body of the game, outside of putting him in series by series. You know.
That's Chargers formation.
Coach, the next one's on grass. Is there any special preparation for that besides changing the shoes?
Well, other than we're practicing on grass, yeah. Right. Brady's got his program practicing on grass every day. But we've been practicing on grass all the way through. This isn't news, you know. Brady likes practicing on grass. It's easier on a kid's legs, and as long as the field stays in decent shape, you can do that. But I think the big thing about that is just don't make too much of it. You know, it doesn't make that much difference. It's like when you play on grass all the time, then you go play on turf. If you make too much of it, guys find an excuse to fail, and we don't make too much of it.
That Chargers formation, is that something you had tucked away in the back of your mind, or how did you come up with it?
Well, you know, I've got an archive of football plays. So, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years, and you got an archive of football plays that go way, way back. Even before I was coordinating. That actually was before I think I started coordinating offense. And I think every coach has got it. I'm not unique. And you know, you keep things and you pull them out as soon as you see something that maybe fits the personnel that you have. You tap it and see what it looks like. It may not fit today's football. You know, that was a long time ago, but you know, maybe it does. So
is it
that had to be
the line between okay, that's got to have a certain amount of time devoted to it in practice, but you want all your regular stuff.
Yeah, that's a delicate balance. Yeah, you gotta justify it, and if you're going to use it, you gotta practice it. You know, and if you're going to practice it, you gotta use it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we were going to use that in the opening plays, so I made sure that it got called. You know, we're going to have X amount of those, not all those plays, but a certain amount of those plays.
Did you have to dig pretty deep to remember that, or was that something that when you saw
I
it,
got a
like,
steel trap? No, I mean, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just, you know, something occurs to you, so you use it. I mean, you used it years ago, and We did it again. I remember being at Auburn when we had Ronnie Brown, and we were trying to figure out ways to get Ronnie Brown some fullback plays, you know, because we were using him as a fullback. And boy, I went way back on a couple of those. You know, I still pull a few plays out from 15, 20 years ago, you know, just because you got to figure something out, you know.
Obviously, this was the first Big Ten game, but was there a specific reason why this was the game that you unveiled that?
No particular reason. Just because, you know, we just thought that would be a nice wrinkle. Nothing more than that.
Coach, in recent weeks we talked about how defense were playing to stop Denard. Was your counter to that running the counter with him? And I guess, you know, running different misdirection plays.
It's one of them. Yeah. We have a part of our offense within the scope of our offense where we have plays to exploit overplay on Denard or any other player, but Denard tends to get the most overplay. You know what I mean by overplay? I mean they'll over defend him. So you've got to have a portion of your schematic that is dedicated to defenses that want to overkill stopping him. And certainly, if I was coaching defense, I would lean that direction and make the offense play left-handed. You know, make somebody else beat you. So.
Roy Roundtree had a lot of success in the slot in the past. Is he struggling to figure out what he needs to do on the outside?
No,
or
not really.
How can you get him more catches?
No, well, within the game plan, we have X amount of balls that go to the split receiver, and you know, if they go to him, they go to him. There's going to be games you catch some balls. There's going to be games you don't catch very many passes. I told these kids that from the beginning. I don't have any special goal unless a player is Jerry Rice type. Okay, I don't have any special goal to make sure every player catches X amount of balls. I don't, and won't ever. Now, if you have some phenom, then you owe it to that phenom to see to it that you get him the ball. But we're as long as, you know, we're balanced. Roy's a heck of a player, but we've got a lot of other guys. Jeremy Gallen's a good player, and so is Junior Hemingway and some of the other kids. So certain games you're going to catch more. You'll see Roy will have a bunch of catches one game, and then another game won't have as many. That's just the way it is. It's the way our offense has always been.
Al, when you're deciding when to use that Devin and Denard play, and do you sit there and think that do you want to run it to just make sure it works and make sure the wrinkles are ironed out, or are you doing it because you want defensive coordinaters down the road to start thinking what else do they have up their sleeves?
Yes. Yes to all the above. You answered the question. That is exactly what you want.
I can't quote myself though. Can you talk about
Yes, you can quote. Yes. I said yes, you can quote. No, that's exactly what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to, you know, just give the defense another. There's so many reasons you're trying to explore the talents of certain players. You're trying to give the defense another wrinkle, something else to think about, you know, those types of things. It's not to be fancy or cute. I promise you that. I could care less about it. I'm way past that, okay? 20 years ago, I'd have thought that was pretty neat. But today, we're just interested in winning. And if it helps you win, I'm interested. If it doesn't help you win, I ain't interested, okay? And I thought that was something that would help us win. And like we ran, I don't know, 4 or 5 plays. Half of them worked, half of them didn't. So, you know.
Coach, they've done a reasonable job pressuring quarterbacks this year. What have you seen from Northwestern's defense on tape?
They play as hard, if not harder, than anybody we played, and they play smart. They make very few mistakes. They find themselves in the right position a lot because, although their scheme, I wouldn't call it is sophisticated within itself, but it's not a flamboyant, a bunch of exotic blitzes and all that stuff. But it fits what they do. Their defensive coordinator is excellent football coach. I've coached against him before. And he puts him in good position, you know. Vince Brown, the defensive end, excellent pass rusher, and a good playmaker. You know, they run to the ball. They just do all the things that you coach in defense well, you know.
Taylor Lewan's a kid that had some penalty issues last year, but that hasn't been even a factor this year. Can you talk about how he's played for you?
He's taken a lot of pride in not doing that. He really hasn't. And I told Taylor before, and I knew what I'd heard about and saw some on the tape, you know, that he had some penalties that I'm sure he regrets, okay? I told him our offense is set up for no penalties. It really is. We make it so that the way our cadence is, the way we snap the ball, we don't. I've been fortunate. We've never had a heavily penalized offensive football team, and he took that to heart. It's a credit to him. It really is, because he's taken pride in the fact that he hasn't made some things that I'm sure he would term as stupid penalties. You know, he's been smart. He's played smart, and he's getting better and better at it all the time.
For some of the more creative plays that you run, be it the Denard Devon package or maybe some other things you have coming in the future, how important is it to have a center that is experienced and kind
Helps a lot. And David makes that happen. It really does help. He can, he can handle a lot of things that they do up front. The center is the quarterback of the offensive line, and David Molk is certainly fits that mold. He's a great athlete and a smart kid who loves to play football, and he can get us all working in the right direction. And to answer your question, it's very, very important, and we're lucky because we got one.
When did you first realize that he might be able to be a guy that you can lean on?
Well, just watching the clips from last year, I could see this kid's, and then talking to him, smart kid, picks things up fast. He's what you're looking for, really is. And he's taken on a leadership role too. Really has. I'm proud of him because he doesn't know us. He was picked as a captain. He didn't know us when we came in here, and he's bought into what we want. And I think he'd tell you he's enjoying it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. What have you seen from Marquis this year?
Mark has been as consistent as any offensive lineman we've had. He's another one. He's a lot like David. He's smart. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's got good range. He's a good pass protector. But few to none mental errors. I mean, and you count on him. That's, as a coordinator, as a football coach, I just appreciate guys who do what you tell them to do and are consistent doing it. Even if they're not the greatest athletes. And Mark's not a bad athlete, but if you do all we ask as coaches is that you do what we coach you to do the best you can. And then I know that eventually they're going to improve. But you don't go out on your own program or, spaz out when the game starts, which some kids do sometimes. Although I haven't seen a lot of that here, but that happens. But Mark's one of those guys, I think, that is fit in so nicely to what we want to do.
The more you work with the Toussaint and Smith combo, are you getting more comfortable in terms of what you can call
I am.
each guy?
I am. I am. And you guys know where I stand on that. But and we're using Vince Smith exactly really the way we said we were going to, or thought we were going to. And Fitz has come around. I mean, Fitz is really running the ball hard and tough, and as is Mike Shaw. Where we've spotted Mike Shaw, he's done a pretty good job. So, but our combination of backs is working out at this point anyway. I may change my mind in 3 weeks, but at this point, pretty good. And I see no reason at this point to change how we're going about it. I'm going to say it again. I prefer it the other way, where there's a guy, but.
Can you see the advantage of having the multiple
styles? Oh, there definitely is. There's a definitely advantage because you have change-up backs. You have guys that bring something different to the table, and you don't beat the hell out of them, which is huge. But yeah, there's an advantage.
This game, it seemed like the passing game was much more focused on short to intermediate routes. Is that something that fits Denard's skill set better, or what was the thought process behind it?
Well, part of it was. Part of it was getting him off. Getting him off and getting him some completions. But you can't play quarterback in today's football just throwing short routes all the time. They won't let you do it. Certain teams are not going to allow you to do that. There's a point where you have to be able to take the ball down the field. And particularly because we're running the ball pretty well now, it becomes more critical that you be able to take those bites. So, yeah, that's part of it. We're going to throw the short and intermediate throws, but we can't depend on that every single down, knowing that there's a point when the crowd line of scrimmage, the ball's got to go over somebody's head.
The fact that Denard can run like he can, though, does that make those short and intermediate routes maybe last longer before teams clamp down?
Oh, yeah, he can buy some time. That always helps, Yeah. That's good stuff when he can do some stuff you don't drop on the board. God knows he does more than any quarterback I've ever coached in terms of doing stuff I don't drop on the board. And buying time for passing is at the top of that list.
Well, I haven't met with in-game transitions where maybe teams would try to take away the short or intermediate quicker. Do they not do it as much because of Denard's ability to run? And
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of times people are taking away your short game because they're stopping your run because they're close line of scrimmage. So the residual of being able to stop the run is being able to stop short passing game. That's why you have to, at one point in time, be able to take the ball, throw the ball over somebody's head, whether it's the underneath coverage or the deep coverage.
Coach, you talked about Denard's throwing, how it improved this week. Was there something different in practice you saw with him? You talked about timing. And also, what can you replicate from this game moving forward?
Well, just build on what we've done. Look at the few throws that weren't very good. See if we can't cure that. But he's a prideful guy, and he takes pride in his ability to throw. He does. A lot of people don't probably think that he does because he's such a good runner. And a lot of times that's taken for granted, but he takes pride in his ability to pass. And I told him when I came here, we're gonna see what we can do. And I knew there was going to be some developmental pain here because it's so different the way we coach a quarterback. But as he gets his feet on the ground, literally and figuratively, okay, you're going to see. I think he'll make more and more headway as we go.
Couple more. Coach, you had Vince Smith throw the touchdown pass there. Do you audition your different running backs?
Yeah, and they get fired fast. They do. Yeah, I had last year at San Diego State. I fired Ronnie Hillman after one throw. He told me, I says, "You got too much, Coach. That's too much pressure. Just one pass." I go, "That's tough. This is like Donald Trump, man. You're out." And Vince threw a good ball the first time. Said, "Okay, you get to throw one more." And he threw another good one, and he won. But we actually have a couple guys that can throw pretty good. So.
In terms of looking at Northwestern and how to attack them, do you look at Illinois because they had a mobile quarterback and things that worked for them, or do you really not work for them?
No, I didn't. Not really. No, I didn't study Illinois. Not that they'd probably be good to study, because they do probably some similar things, but no, not really.
Coach, you talked about how Denard wanted to get his passing right when you came in. Did you talk about the NFL getting ready for the next level? Is that something you talked about with him?
Yeah, a little bit, but not too much. I think I think you beat that stuff up too much. You lose perspective on what's straight ahead of you. You know what I mean? NFL is the residual effect of being a good college player. You know what I mean? That's what you get when you're good. So you make him as good a college player and let the chips fall where they may. But I don't want to talk too much about that. That'll happen if it's supposed to happen.